Greetings and welcome again to the Force4Good Podcast. I'm Dennis Brooks, Senior Superintendent of Police here at the Jamaica Constabulary Force. This week we are continuing a conversation about domestic violence. Last week we began to peel away the layers, looking at what it is and what are some of the common misconceptions. This week, we're rejoined by JCF National Domestic Violence Intervention Officer, Deputy Superintendent Jacqueline Dillon, and Portmore Domestic Violence Center Manager, Detective Sergeant Damian Hammond. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you for having us.
Is it true that there are some parishes that have historically there's been greater prevalence, and as a result you have to bolster the support in those parishes, in those divisions? Are there some parishes that you find maybe even more conducive, they're more accepting?
So we have some parishes where, when we look at the statistics, because I have statistics from even before JCF actually have a structure in place, been collecting data around domestic violence.
Right.
And you look at the statistics, there are some parishes that when you look at it, the trends never go down. The trend is either going up at all times. Last year was the first time that we had a reduction in homicides around domestic violence. Last year. And that is in tandem with the national, what happened nationally.
Yes.
But when you look at reported incidents, and even incidents of serious injuries and otherwise, those parishes always come up. So, for example, the parish of Westmoreland and Clarendon have always had high levels of domestic violence. And it depends on, it's different categories. So for Clarendon, you would have family and intimate partner intertwined. In Westmoreland, you'd have mostly family violence, but you do have intimate partner. While when you look at a parish like Trelawney, it's a combination of family and intimate partner. However, the family violence far outweighs the intimate.
And there have been some big cases, high-profile cases of family violence in these parishes. How big an issue is family violence in terms of the potential spillover into just violence, gang warfare in the country? Because family violence is a big part of domestic violence that we don't talk enough about.
It's huge. I think Jamaica, and not just Jamaica, but we focus a lot on intimate partner, and sometimes we don't see the level of violence among family members. There was a case in a parish that spills over into another parish. And it started as a result of dead left land.
We've seen that so many times.
And so you had 4 members in this parish from this side of the family who died. And then you have another 4 over here so who died. And so it was this tit for tat over dead left land that belonged to some great-great-grandparents who died, leave it, and it passed down. And so you have those kind of violence right across Jamaica. We have brothers killing brother over $800, $500 and phone card and dumpling and all of those things. Because I don't know if as Jamaicans we realize the simple things that causes violence to escalate. Some of these violence morph into gang violence over time.
Yes.
And so dealing with the root cause in the home is critical to reducing violence overall, because many times the violence starts in the home.
I remember in Trelawney we had the case where the woman, the banker who was killed in a church, and that was over property. There was a matter of the woman who, along with her 2 daughters, brought in a hitman from out of parish to kill her sister. These are matters, these are family violence matters, and they are very real elements of domestic violence. When we look at it from that perspective, how can family and friends and associates possibly help tone down the violence, if at all?
I think generally, sometimes you see on social media, some person, me just come and say something, I just participate, and then afterwards me ask, what did happen? we need to find a place where we have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says something to you, find out what is really happening. Because we are seeing this kind of thing. People just respond because, and it tells you probably, do we have a culture of violence? But I think what we have is a set of people who don't communicate well.
Yes. Yes, true.
Everything may pre. We don't seem to find out, what is happening, how we can assist with this situation instead of, I'm going to do something. No, why are you doing that? What happened? We need to know. We just say, no, man, we are going to go mash it up. So I believe that friends and families can sit down and have a conversation, difficult conversations. Culturally, I have said that, I believe that we don't have that kind of thing and we need to get that in place.
We have to be able to have difficult conversations.
We're not like that. We're not a talking thing. Let's not do it. No, we need to begin to have the conversations, find out, because sometimes in those conversations, we've come to a common ground and understanding of situations and circumstances. That's how I respond to that.
And if I may, Dennis,
Yes.
I think too, our own culture and socialization causes us to behave in particular ways. We have accepted from a long time that violence is normal. We have normalized it.
Yes.
And so we have to get back to the point where we can have conversation, not just at home, but in schools, in churches, about these kinds of, why it is wrong to do something. There must be somebody who can say, no, this is not the right way to go. And so this conversation needs to also happen at a national level. We need to talk about values and attitudes, because that is going to help to change mindset. That is what is going to help to change behavior.
I want to touch the issue of, we've alluded to it, but I want to touch the issue of men and even vulnerable groups, because there may be some people saying this type of person can go to the station and get justice for a domestic violence matter because they live an alternative lifestyle, and they perpetuate that stigma, especially if they are seeking exile in other countries. They say, I can't get justice in my country. Is that true?
We have had to deal with what we call vulnerable groups person. The beauty about the domestic violence intervention centers is that you have an opportunity to walk in, you have an opportunity to call by phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not that we are saying to you, you must come in to us. You can call us and we have a conversation over the phone. We can talk about what you're going through over the phone. We can discuss the issues and direct you to help over the phone.
Right.
The idea of the police not...
Is there a hotline, or is it you have to know the numbers? Well, I know that we've published
It's a direct number.
Yeah.
All the
To the
DVI
center,
care centers has numbers, but I normally give out the number to me because from there I can direct persons where to call. So the number is 876-224-4274 or 876-224-4275. Those are the numbers. If you call those numbers, we can direct you to a DVI care center. But I want person to understand that we do not discriminate. We have had to deal with a number of cases of persons who I don't even know if I want to call it, are in the vulnerable groups. And what they say is, oh, I do not want to go to the station. Oh, I have gone to the station and the police run me. I need your help. And we have been able to talk about it, address the issues over the phone on many occasions. And so I say, the whole activities of the DVI Care Center is to cater to the needs of every Jamaican that needs help when it comes on to domestic
violence. In terms of men
violence.
too, Miss D, if I may, in terms of men, I can tell you that once you come to the centers, because even this week, we have had at least 3 to 4 men who have taken action and have gotten help, and they come
and we've reported it.
Yes.
I want to know if it is still the case that since the establishment of DVICs
Yes.
that are adjacent to a police station, that we've seen an increase in the number of men who go in and report that they have been victims of
Yes.
abuse.
every year consistently, we have had an increase in the number of men who come to us every year. And since the start of this year, I can tell you, Dennis, the number of men who have come to us since the start of the year, if it continues on this trajectory, what we're going to find is that we're going to find a lot more men, probably as close to the number of women who will come to us.
And these are persons who are being abused by women, abused by men.
These are persons who are victims of domestic violence in their relationships. So it's men or women.
Okay.
They are victims of domestic violence in their relationship. We're not talking about alleged perpetrators. We're talking about persons who I am a victim, and the evidence supports that.
This would then suggest that the level of underreporting of domestic violence among men has been very high in Jamaica, as we may anecdotally have known. But now we're seeing the numbers because people are coming through the cracks and saying, me.
I think what is important too, Ms. Dillon probably would mention it at some point, is the balance of the face that you see when you go to the DV center.
Yeah.
Because could be about 3 weeks ago, I got a call. There's a flyer that was issued, and the gentleman saw the photo of a male on it, which happened to be my photo. And when he looked at the name of the center that I work and the number that is attached, so I want to talk to a male who probably I can relate to. And I got that call very early in the morning. I was actually going on duty. I was doing DDO at the time. And I engaged him, and almost for half a day, we're on the phone and trying to, get him to a place where he's comfortable in terms of understanding what is happening and all of that. And a number of things, in relation to him has happened since that phone call, and restore some level of confidence and that the system does work, right? And that for me, you see me smiling about it, because that for me gives people a feeling and a view that if you really allow the system to work as is, it will. And what I was indicating to him, I was trying to test the system outside of the warm referrals that I refer to, just to tell him to go and give me the response. Because I want the system to work in its naturalness, rather than always have to troubleshoot it for it to work, if I might use that term. And he called me the other day and indicated that, it is advancing and progressing apace and doing well. So most men will call, even the ladies at my center will call and say, Mr. Man, somebody want them. If it's not a man, them don't want to talk to nobody else. So we're getting the reports, and we're getting persons to activate the services and to get the help that they need, and it is working. So this week alone, at least 3 men so far have gotten the court orders, and it has worked.
Jackie Dillon, that speaks to the power of a non-judgmental voice to greet these people. But it also speaks to the importance of training. I remember a couple of years ago, you were at a hotel and you were training a whole bunch of new people. How are we still training more and more and more of our members to be able to be that voice that man or that woman needs when they call or when they come in?
We're still training. We're still training persons. As a matter of fact, we have now gone into the National Police College of Jamaica, because I believe that we ought to start there with our new recruits. And we talk about domestic violence. We talk about other issues, but we mainly talk about domestic violence. It's important for us to train our members before they come in. It's important to continue to refresh their memories. We have been reviewing the domestic violence policy. It has been completed. And so we consistently train people, because every day the JCF get new people.
Yes.
Every day a new set of people are transferred. And also to remember that we are a transferable organization. And because we're a transferable organization, we must continue to train people that if you transfer somebody from a spot, then there's always somebody trained that you can put there. But then again, Dennis, if I may say, attitude and aptitude are also important. And so while we train all our members, we have to understand that some of our members really, really can't handle domestic violence. So whilst it's okay for them to take the reports as a natural report, when it comes on to the other phases of it, because it's not a one-off intervention,
Right.
we have to ensure that we do the specialized training for specialized persons.
Yes, yes. Because some people, you're just not the best person to have spoken to that person in that moment. And if someone has a bad experience, there are persons who are trained to give you the experience that you need. We just need to move it in the right direction. Let me ask then, I want to move to the bigger picture. When you think about the work that you're doing internally to train, the work that you're doing externally to prepare the spaces for persons to have the interactions that they need, what's the end game for you? What's the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal for me is to see domestic violence intervention in the JCF become a standalone department that deals solely with domestic violence, having investigators, having, your prosecutors within the court, having a prosecution court out there. That's my aim, to see domestic violence. That's a level I'd love to see.
Because just for the record, a detective sergeant who is dealing with these matters doesn't only deal with domestic violence. They have a whole heap of things doing.
He has a whole lot of things doing. He just doesn't do investigation only. He has to do the intervention. So he's the one who listens to the stories, find out whether or not, based on what he said, where do we take this matter. And in Jamaica, we must have a prosecution court for domestic violence, because it is taking too long when you go through the normal system to get a court order.
Yeah.
And so I am hoping, and I am working with my team to ensure that we lay the foundation, that we move it to that level, because I believe that the JCF is doing a very good job. Not just my team, but the JCF on a whole is doing a very good job in ensuring that we get people at a point where they can talk about their situations before it becomes violent. And that's the aim. A lot of people may say, we are in law enforcement, why are you doing all of this? It's social work. It's not social work. It's prevention. It costs the country millions, if not billions of dollars, when somebody goes into the health system with injuries out of domestic violence. And it's not one, it's more than one person's consistently. And so we have to look at and tie in how domestic violence impact our national budget, or budget within the JCF, and external of the JCF, because all of them are intertwined. We have to look at the dollar value. So I want to see domestic violence being treated in Jamaica, the JCF being that primary arm for investigation, but I want the intervention to move from a unit into a standalone branch that deals with domestic violence, that have all the components in there to ensure that we are effective and efficient.
Damian Hammond, do you feel that we're moving in the direction where the strategic partnerships, so you mentioned earlier, for instance, the various protection orders and things that you can seek, that speaks to a partnership with the legislative framework, but the broader support systems that we rely on that are outside of our remit, are we moving in the direction where those things are working and we're working effectively with our strategic partners?
Yes, it is. The court, and we have developed that relationship with the court. We have different agencies within the government that we rely on heavily. If I may mention the Bureau of Gender Affairs, they have a massive part to play in domestic violence. They're the one who handles the shelters and all of that. You have Women Inc., because there's a transition home that was given to them, and they work along with the Japanese government on that one as well. And we have restorative justice, we have victim services. These persons play different roles, particularly we talk about the family violence. RJ is very important.
Restorative justice.
Restorative justice, deal with those land issues and so forth, even house. who's supposed to own the house and all of that. So these agencies are very important.
Administrator General.
Administrator General. We have counselors coming through the church, not just pastoral counseling, but those counselors within the system that do some psychological work, those clinical counseling psychologists, that we need to unravel some stuff from persons' childhood days as well. So all of these agents that we work with, it is massively important to the work that we do. And I, for one, am grateful to them because they have helped a lot of our victims to move from danger to safety.
At another level, Dennis, we have the Caribbean Coalition for Vulnerable Groups. And their support just does not only come in, their support comes in grants. So they'll give grants for persons to stay at places or get somewhere to live. They'll assist within the court to get matters to the court. They'll assist persons to fill their own prescription and medication and all of that. So we have our partners at varying levels, and we have our partners as well, international partners, who assist us with training and development of our members. I cannot not say partners like the United Nations Population Fund, who has been funding majority of the training that we have been able to do and continue to do so.
Some of the times in society, we don't deal with problems, we just kick the can down the road. Do you feel like, based off of where DV was when you started working in the area to where we are now, do you feel that we're making significant progress? And do you feel that, you know, a generation from now, when you're long retired, will look back and say, there was a lady named Jackie Dillon who helped get us to where we are?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I started, nobody wanted to talk about domestic violence. It's almost as if it was a taboo and it was not a police matter. And I'm happy that I could be a part of a process that allows Jamaican to be able to say, look here, we have help over there. We can reach out to a police, we can reach out to this person, we can get help because the help is available. And so for me, when I long retire, I want to be able to sit on my veranda and be able to say to persons, when I see that there are domestic violence implications or things that will lead to domestic violence, I can say to the person, look here, I'm going to sit down and talk it out, or go right there so for help, because we are putting in succession planning. It's not about me. That's why I have people like Aman over here, who's a younger person to me, that when I go, there's always somebody who learned what I learned and is able to continue the process and even better the process.
Well, I look forward to seeing that process better, because I think that Jamaica, we deserve it. We deserve it. Just a reminder, if you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, if you believe that that neighbor is the victim of domestic violence, if you see something, say something. I'm going to ask DSP Dillon one more time to give you those numbers that you may call and seek assistance. DSP Dillon.
The numbers are 876-224-4274 or 876-224-4275.
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have in this episode of the Force for Good podcast. Until next time, do take care.